Hello and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Izolda Trachtenberg. On the show, I interview peak performing innovators in the creative, social impact, and earth conservation spaces. I also bring you ideas and techniques that you can grab and use to set goals, create, and unlock your potential for changing yourself and the world. And now let's get to the show. One of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get myself on podcasts so that when the book comes out, the episodes will be out. I don't want to be talking about this right now, like the book is out. The book is still in editing, so it's going to be a while. And I was on my friend Karen Bryson's podcast. She's called The Curious Professor, and she said, "Come on the show. We'll talk about your book." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not ready to talk about my book." And so she said, "Okay, we'll talk about tarot cards." Great. We talked about tarot cards. So I was able to tease about the book, but I didn't talk so much about the book because it won't be out for months and months. So I said, "I'll come back on your show." She said, "Great." So I already have another interview slated with her for the spring so that when the book actually comes out, I can be back on the show. Again, once you develop a relationship, I've had multiple people on my show more than once. You've got cool new stuff coming out. I'd love to have you on the show again. Why not? I already know you were a great guest. Be delighted to have you on the show. All right. So here's a query to one of my successful pitches that I ended up in an article. The query was this, and HARO, or Help a Reporter Out. I think it's helpareporterout.net. It was started by Peter Shankman, who's a futurist, a multi-cajillionaire, serial entrepreneur, amazing guy. He hosts a podcast called Faster Than Normal about ADHD and making it your superpower because he has ADHD. He started this thing called Help a Reporter Out, where journalists who are looking for sources for stories post queries. People who could be experts on the query pitch themselves to be in an article or a podcast or a story or whatever it is that's going on. Sometimes people pitch, "I'm writing this book and I want you to be someone who's an expert on ham radio. If you're an expert on ham radio, I want you to talk to me about how you'd use it in the 21st century. If we had an apocalypse, great, I can pitch that." So Haro is all about that. You can do lots of different subject matters, and you can choose which ones come to you via email every day or every week, whatever. This was one of these Haro queries, and here was the query. "I'm looking for women who participate in the gig economy. What is your job? Why did you choose gig work over regular employment? What are the pros and cons of being a gig worker? Also, I'm interested in hearing thoughts from workplace analysts and HR leaders on why the gig economy draws so many female participants. What are some of the benefits and disadvantages they face by choosing this type of employment arrangement?" Now, this was a huge article she was writing, and she ended up with multiple quotes, multiple people that she used as sources. And here was my pitch. I had a timely headline, and the headline was, "In 2021, the gig economy provides two crucial benefits to women." I didn't tell her what they were. She's going to need to read the email in order to know what those two crucial benefits to women are. And then relevant pitch with a point of view. "In 2021, women need flexibility and opportunities. I've been working in the gig economy as a workshop facilitator, speaker, and musician for years. I chose it because I have a variety of professional interests. I wanted the challenge of excelling in each of them while I serve my client base. The gig economy provides several benefits, including," and then I gave out relevant reasons, and I said the only con, because she asked for that, "is a lack of safety net and infrastructure. It takes courage to be your own boss, accountant, marketer, and support staff. You must be willing to leave safety behind, or you will stress yourself out daily. But you live and work on your own terms, and that makes all the difference." And then I gave her my credentials, right? I'm an innovation evangelist. I host this podcast. I worked for NASA as a master trainer for many years, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is in there. What she used was the thing in purple. "It takes courage to be blah, blah, blah." That's all she used. She quoted me. She linked to my website. She used that quote, and I closed the article. That was the close of the article. So it's great. Having that elevation in Google also helps whenever you have reciprocal links, because you know what I did. As soon as I found out from her that article is that article released, I went to my own links page and went, "Hey, I was just in this great article," and I linked back to it. Reciprocal links on Google will raise you in the search engine rankings, so you come up like on page 1 instead of on page 26 of 48, right? So So as soon as you get any kind of press, if you're on a podcast, link back, make sure those reciprocal links are working so that, again, you keep building that audience. But that sentence that I put in, I didn't know what part she was going to use. She used that part. Great. I'm still in the article. I got press. Woohoo! And I'm on to the next thing. They like me. Yay! You've gotten past the initial hurdle, and now they want a one sheet. What's a one sheet? Let's talk about that. This is the cover for The Mindful Creative, a creative's guide to unleashing your inner innovative genius by me. And for a nonfiction work, everything that you talk about in your one sheet should relate to the book or other work you're promoting. And everything that you do on a PDF one sheet, all the information, all the questions, everything should relate back to the book that you're promoting or other work. And most one sheets nowadays are PDFs. So when you create the PDF, you make everything downloadable with active links. Be as frictionless as possible when you're creating your one sheet so that the person who is looking at the one sheet can go, oh, I need to see their website. Boom, and I get to it. Oh, I need to see their social. Boom, and it's right there. Because they're going to check you out. They're going to want to know who you are based on the information you provide. So for this nonfiction work, this is what my one sheet is. The elements of a one sheet are name, title, contact info, bio, social media, credentials and specs, possible episode headlines. Again, it's your message. Give them the possible headlines. That way, if they're looking to see how you would relate to their audience, A, you give them the possible headlines, and B, they don't have to do the work of coming up with the headline. It's a mutually beneficial experience then. Suggested questions with takeaways. Important. For a one sheet, again, remember how I said give them the 4 questions that you would want to be asked? Well, also give them what should the audience take away from you answering that question? Any publications you've been in, any clients, anything like that. For me, if you look at my one sheet, I have that bio, and it's about 100 words. I have all my social media channels, and you can see that they're all active links, right? At the very top, you can also see I have my email, which is active, my website, which is active, and my headshot and logo. This little logo, if you are going to be putting me on anything and I can get you to put my logo, by gum, I want my logo on your stuff. I want people recognizing who I am. I want people to see that little light bulb with the eye and go, that must be Izolda, right? As much as possible, have anything that you do be easily identifiable as you. And my headshot is also, if you need my headshot, I don't want you to have to hunt for it as a podcast host. I don't want you to wonder, do you have it? It's in my one sheet. Just go boom, and it gets you to my headshot. Everything is there, so they don't have to worry about it. The easier and the more frictionless you make your relationship with the host, the more they're going to want to have you on their show, and the more they will be willing to recommend you to other shows. And that, once you start doing podcasts, I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun. That's one of the ways to do it. Again, referrals are queen. So if you were going to be looking at this one sheet, my bio is geared in the nonfiction one sheet for the Mindful Creative. It's all geared towards that Mindful Creative, right? And it talks about the podcast because it's innovative mindset. All of that stuff is focused on my nonfiction. And you're going to have this PowerPoint, so I'm not going to ask you to be able to look at all these questions, but I'm going to ask you to look at, for example, possible headlines. I wanted to give them easy headlines. The 5 pillars of building an engaged, collaborative, and innovative team. Don't you want to know what those 5 pillars are? You kind of go, oh, what are they? Right? From the Fortune 500 to the Little League, the 4 surprising skills every leader needs to succeed. Surprising skills? How are they surprising? Anything that you can go and create a bit of mystery about is going to be helpful to you because they're going to want to know more. The same goes with the interview questions. If you're going to look at coming up with questions, come up with the possible answers, because that way, once they ask the question, they kind of know what you're going to be talking about. It will give them assurance that you're not going to go way off in left field. And it will also provide them jumping off points for further research to ask you better questions so that you have a better interview. So if I were going to say, okay, What the first suggested interview question is, what is the mindful creative framework and how does it help entrepreneurs and business leaders succeed? And then it says, Izolda will share the concepts behind being agile, innovative, and mindful. And the takeaway is innovation equals creative inspiration plus mindful action. Boom. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something that will explain to them what they should expect their audience to know about once they've asked that question and I've answered it. So you get to come up with that. It makes everything easier for you. It also makes everything easier for the podcast host. It makes it easier for them to know that they're going to have a great interview. And it makes it easier for you to know that you're going to get your message out there in the way you want to. Win, 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 all of that. Oh, and the formatting is, by the way, how you want it to look. It's kind of like a resume. Mine is a little bit more, flashy with the different colors or whatever. I'm always creative in that way. So I always want to give that little flavor. The one sheet is once you've gotten past the I want to have more information place, that's when you send. They will usually ask you for a one sheet. You don't ever send the one sheet to begin with. Once they see your pitch and they go, ooh, I'd love to know more. Then you go, I have a one sheet that I'd be delighted to send you. Here it is. I want one sheets when I want them from people who are not big. The people who are big, they usually have them and they'll send them. I don't ask for them. For my really high profile guests, I do my own research, right? If I'm having a Tom Peters, who is the biggest business bookseller in the history of leadership books ever, I have had him on my show twice. I'm never going to ask him for a one sheet. I would never go to him. First of all, I almost never deal with him. I deal with Shelly, his assistant. And Shelly provided for me, but I would never dream of going, Tom, how about you get me a one sheet, right? So if it's a really high profile guest, no, I will not ask them for a one sheet. Generally, though, they provide it anyway. They'll like, here's the one sheet or here's the website. I have a digital one sheet on my website, so I have the PDF, but I also have a digital one sheet. Somebody says, can you send me a one sheet? I go, here's the PDF, and also here's the webpage with all the active links. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Izolda Trachtenberg and is copyright 2022. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, remember to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind.